In the summer of 1969, the world held its breath as three men hurtled toward the moon aboard Apollo 11. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins became household names, their courage etched into history as they took humanity's first steps on another world. But behind their triumph, hidden in the shadows of a segregated America, was a woman whose mind made that giant leap possible. Her name was Katherine Johnson, a mathematician, a pioneer, a trailblazer. A woman who calculated the paths to the stars while navigating a world determined to hold her back. This is her story, a true story of brilliance, perseverance, and the quiet strength that changed the course of history. Katherine Johnson was one of NASA's hidden figures, a group of African American women whose mathematical genius powered America's space race. In an era when segregation barred Black Americans from equal opportunities and women were rarely seen in scientific fields, Katherine's calculations were so precise, so reliable, that astronauts staked their lives on them. Her work helped send men to the moon and brought them safely home. But her story is more than numbers and equations. It's a testament to courage, the courage to defy prejudice, to challenge expectations, and to prove that brilliance knows no boundaries. Today, we'll journey through Katherine Johnson's life, from her small-town beginnings in West Virginia to the halls of NASA, where her calculations rewrote what was possible. We'll explore the science that sent rockets soaring, the discrimination she faced with unwavering resolve, and the legacy she left for generations to come. This is not just a story of one woman's achievements. It's a story of America at a crossroads, a nation reaching for the stars while grappling with its own divisions. So, let's begin where it all started, in a place far from the spotlight, where a young girl's love for numbers would one day change the world. Katherine Coleman was born on August 26, 1918, in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, a small town nestled in the Allegheny Mountains. It was a place where opportunities for African Americans were scarce, where Jim Crow laws enforced a rigid divide between black and white. But in the Coleman household, education was a beacon of hope. Katherine's father, Joshua, was a farmer and handyman, a man who could barely read but valued learning above all else. Her mother, Joy Lett, was a former teacher, nurturing her children's curiosity with a quiet determination. Together, they instilled in Katherine and her siblings a belief that they could achieve anything, no matter the odds. From an early age, Katherine's mind was a marvel. Numbers weren't just symbols to her, they were a language, a puzzle, a world of endless possibilities. By age 5, she was counting everything she could: steps to school, stars in the sky, even the dishes at the dinner table. Her older brother, Horace, once recalled how Katherine would solve math problems faster than he could, even though he was years ahead in school. She could calculate anything, he said, and she loved it. Her teachers quickly noticed her gift, and by age 10, Katherine was attending high school classes, a prodigy in a world that wasn't ready for her. But brilliance alone wasn't enough. In White Sulphur Springs, the local high school for black students ended at 8th grade. To give Katherine the education she deserved, her family made a bold decision. They moved 120 miles to Institute, West Virginia, home to West Virginia State College, where a high school for African Americans offered advanced learning. It was a sacrifice, leaving behind their home, their community, but Joshua and Joylette knew their daughter's potential was worth it. At West Virginia State, Katherine thrived. She devoured courses in mathematics, French, and music, graduating high school at 14 and enrolling in college the same year. Under the mentorship of Dr. William W. Schieffelin Clater, a brilliant black mathematician, Katherine's talent blossomed. Clater, one of the first African Americans to earn a Ph.D. in mathematics, saw in Katherine a rare gift. He created advanced courses just for her, teaching her the intricacies of analytic geometry and number theory. "You're going to be a mathematician," he told her, and Katherine believed him. By 1937, at just 18, she graduated summa cum laude with degrees in mathematics and French, ready to take on a world that wasn't quite ready for her. In the 1930s, opportunities for black women in mathematics were nearly non-existent. Katherine took a job teaching at a segregated school in Virginia, but her ambition burned brighter. In 1939, she married James Goebel, a chemistry teacher, and together they started a family. Yet Katherine's dreams of applying her mathematical genius never faded. In 1953, a chance conversation changed everything. A relative mentioned that the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA, NASA's predecessor, was hiring black women as computers, human calculators who performed the complex computations needed for aeronautical research. Katherine applied and was hired at NACA's Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia. It was a pivotal moment, but it came with challenges. The Langley campus was segregated. Black women worked in the West Area Computing Unit, separate from their white counterparts. They used separate bathrooms, separate cafeterias, and faced constant reminders of their place. Yet Katherine refused to be defined by those barriers. Her supervisor, Dorothy Vaughan, another trailblazing black woman, recognized Katherine's talent and assigned her to increasingly complex tasks. Katherine's big break came in 1958 when she was temporarily assigned to the all-male, all-white Flight Research Division. Her job was to calculate trajectories for aircraft, but her precision and insight quickly made her indispensable. When the temporary assignment ended, her colleagues insisted she stay. Katherine's calculations were flawless, her mind sharper than any machine. But working in a male-dominated, racially charged environment wasn't easy. She was often the only woman and the only black person in the room. Colleagues sometimes dismissed her questions or ignored her contributions. Yet Katherine persisted, asking the tough questions, demanding to be included in briefings, and proving her worth time and again. One of her early triumphs was her work on the trajectory for Alan Shepard's 1961 flight, America's first manned space mission. Shepard's suborbital flight aboard Freedom 7 was a defining moment in the space race, and Katherine's calculations ensured its success. Astronaut John Glenn, preparing for his historic orbital flight in 1962, famously insisted that Katherine personally verify the calculations produced by NASA's new IBM computers. "If she says they're good," Glenn said, "then I'm ready to go." Katherine checked the numbers by hand, confirming their accuracy, and Glenn orbited Earth safely, a milestone in American history. By the mid-1960s, NASA had set its sights on the moon. President John F. Kennedy's bold promise to land a man on the lunar surface before the decade's end galvanized the nation. At Langley, Katherine Johnson was at the heart of this mission. Her work on the Apollo program would become her greatest legacy, a testament to the power of human intellect in an age of machines. The Apollo 11 mission, launched on July 16, 1969, was the culmination of years of effort. Katherine's role was to calculate the precise trajectories needed to send the spacecraft to the moon and bring it back safely. This was no small feat. The calculations involved complex variables: Earth's rotation, the moon's orbit, the spacecraft's velocity, and the ever-present risk of error. A single mistake could mean disaster, stranding astronauts in space or worse. Katherine worked tirelessly, double-checking every equation, ensuring every number was perfect. Her most critical contribution was the lunar rendezvous calculation. Apollo 11 required the lunar module, Eagle, to separate from the command module, land on the moon, and then reconnect in lunar orbit for the journey home. The timing and trajectory had to be exact, with no room for error. Katherine's calculations mapped out the precise path, accounting for gravitational forces and orbital mechanics. Her work gave NASA the confidence to proceed, knowing the numbers were sound. On July 20, 1969, the world watched as Neil Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface, declaring, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Back at NASA, Katherine Johnson quietly celebrated, knowing her calculations had helped make that moment possible. The safe return of Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins was a triumph not just for NASA but for Katherine, whose brilliance had overcome the barriers of race and gender to touch the stars. Katherine Johnson's achievements were extraordinary, but they came against a backdrop of systemic racism and sexism. In the 1950s and 1960s, America was a nation divided. Segregation was law in much of the South, and even at NASA, Black employees faced daily indignities. Katherine had to walk half a mile to use the colored restroom. She was barred from certain meetings and had to fight for her voice to be heard. Yet she never let bitterness define her. "I didn't feel the segregation at NASA," she later said, "because everybody there was doing research. You had a mission, and we worked to accomplish it." Her resilience was remarkable. When colleagues questioned her presence in briefings, she responded with confidence, asking, "Is there a law against it?" There wasn't, and Katherine's persistence broke down barriers. She earned the respect of her peers, not through confrontation, but through excellence. Her calculations were undeniable, her intellect unassailable. Katherine's story also reflects the broader struggle of the hidden figures, the Black women who worked as computers at NASA. Women like Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, and Christine Darden faced similar challenges, yet their contributions were vital to America's space program. Together, they formed a sisterhood, supporting each other in a world that often overlooked their talent. Katherine's success was a beacon for them, proof that perseverance could triumph over prejudice. Katherine Johnson retired from NASA in 1986 after 33 years of service. Her work had shaped the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs, and her calculations even contributed to the Space Shuttle program. But for decades, her story remained largely untold, overshadowed by the astronauts and engineers who took center stage. That changed in 2015 when President Barack Obama awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom, America's highest civilian honor. Katherine Johnson, Obama said, refused to be limited by society's expectations of her gender or race. Her work helped us reach the stars. In 2016, the book Hidden Figures by Margot Lee Shetterly and its subsequent film adaptation brought Katherine's story to a global audience. Played by Taraji P. Henson, Katherine became an icon, inspiring countless young women, especially women of color, to pursue careers in STEM. NASA named a research facility in her honor, and schools, scholarships, and awards now bear her name. Katherine Johnson passed away on February 24, 2020, at the age of 101. Her legacy endures in the scientists she inspired, the barriers she broke, and the calculations that sent humanity to the moon. She once said, "I love going to work every single day." That love, for numbers, for discovery, for pushing boundaries, defined her life. Katherine Johnson's story is a reminder that greatness can come from the most unlikely places. A Black woman in a segregated America, armed with nothing but her mind and her determination, changed the course of history. She didn't just calculate trajectories, she charted a path for others to follow, proving that no barrier is too high, no dream too distant. As we look to the stars today, dreaming of Mars and beyond, we stand on the shoulders of pioneers like Katherine. Her courage, her brilliance, and her unwavering belief in what's possible inspire us to reach higher, to push further, to never stop counting the stars. This is the story of Katherine Johnson, the woman who sent men to the moon and brought them home. A true American hero, whose legacy will shine as brightly as the lunar light she helped us reach.